Well, I'm back from my walk. It's snowy outside. While I was out walking, I was thinking about other dimensions that we have to take into account in research design. One is the unit of observation and the unit of analysis. Right? So yes, we have to figure out if our project's going to be primarily exploratory, descriptive, or explanatory. What are the goals of our research? But we have to figure out what are we actually going to observe? A big part of research designs is figuring out what's among all the millions of observations of social life you could observe, which ones you actually going to observe. And one way to think about this is in terms of the units of analysis. When you do your study, what is it you want to study? Do you want to study interactions, people, places, countries, organizations, relationships? Right? Those would all be different units of analysis. So on Monday's class, when Abina suggested we study silences in conversation among couples, right? She is giving us a unit of analysis that's conversation, right? Then she's got a conceptual category that's silences, so as opposed to other types of talk or non-talk, right? And then also that we're going to observe, our unit of observation is going to be couples, right? Our unit of analysis in this case is going to be conversations or conversational snippets, right? And our observation is going to be couples. Right? So this is an important part of research design. And when you do your labs tomorrow, you should be thinking about that. So when you think about the concept that you're going to be studying this semester, you should be thinking about where does that exist, right? For most of you, the appropriate unit of analysis and unit of observation is going to be individuals. Right? We've sort of rigged the game that way because we're going to use the general social survey. But you might also want to think if for some research designs that would be, you'd observe individuals, but maybe what you really care about is interactions, right? And this would be particularly true for a qualitative design around some of those attitude issues. Though they could also be done as where the unit of analysis and observation was a person, an interview with people about, let's say, their attitudes towards sexuality or gender or mobility or the like. Right? Okay, the snow has not yet melted off my hat. I think that's the key thing I wanted to talk about there. This distinction between that we have to decide what it is we're going to observe and then what we're going to analyze. Right? Often the units of observation and the units of analysis are the same. We observe individuals and do analyses on individuals. Or we observe countries and do analyses on countries. But sometimes they're different. It's not unusual, actually, in survey research to have a survey of individuals and then get them to report on something else. I've done research where we look at characteristics of jobs. The individual is the unit of observation, but the job becomes the unit of analysis. And there we go. It's a short lecture. I think I'm going to take off my hat now. Bye. Okay, I took my hat off and I wanted to finish the lecture up. I know you thought it was done. It wasn't. So when I was talking on Monday about exploratory research and using that case study, the focus groups from the Driving While Black project, we're observing individuals, and when individuals are giving stop stories telling what happened to them, the unit of observation is individuals, and so is the unit of analysis, stories about those individual stops. But in those focus groups, we're also looking at conversations and how people make meaning collectively. Right? In that case, the unit of observation is individuals, but the unit of analysis is going to be conversations and chunks of talk. In the study where we looked at the people driving on the highway, we sampled highway segments. Our units of observation were all of the citations written by highway patrol officers in that highway segment, and then our observations, the researchers' observations of people actually driving on those highways. So that's the cars that were going by us. Right? In this case, then, we have units of observation of cars on highways and citations in a computer file somewhere, also tied to those highway segments. Our unit of analysis, however, was the highway segment itself. So in this case, we aggregated up all the citations to get a race distribution of citations in a highway segment, and we aggregated up all of our observations of cars to do the same. So the unit of analysis here is highway segments. It's not the same as highway observations. And in the third explanatory study that I talked about from that project, where we did a survey of drivers, right? Our units of observation are the individuals who are responding to the survey, and our unit of analysis are also what happened to those individuals. So in that last case, it's really quite neat and tidy. The unit of observation and the unit of analysis are the same. But as you can guess it, at this point, this is not always the case. Now this lecture is really over.